Today, we'll be inside Travis Hunter's old high school to find out how they produce some of the best football players in the country. Because Travis Hunter isn't the only top recruit to come from Collins Hill. That's why we followed their head coach to see what separates this team from other Georgia schools. But to answer that, we need to start on the field.
Drew Swick, head football coach at Collins Hill High School.
What is a game day like at Collins Hill?
Big games get crowded. You know, when I was here, you had the Peachtree Ridge rivalry that every cop in here to make sure that there's nothing crazy going on. Collins Hill's at its best. You got everybody in the community that comes out and cheers us on, and the support in the Collins Hill community is unmatched in my opinion. The Hill is special. That was done by Coach Kevin Reach, and you got Taylor Heineke and his dad who was able to kind of do that. You got a rock up there in his memory, and kind of like Clemson where you run down the hill, you got smoke now, we got the sparks that come out the top, and they run through the banner, and coming down the hill. That's when you really got to get locked in and ready for the game on Friday.
Before making our way to the team entrance, I needed to know the star players that made up this Collins Hill team.
You got Deuce Geralds. He just broke the sack record, career sack record, which was held by Lorenzo Carter. 51 is the one that when he broke it in that last game. He's a guy that's always driven to be the best, and you got Cottrell Webb, who's also on the other end. So you want to block double him, you also have to worry about Cottrell, and those are two guys that have been leaders. Atticus Joseph is another kid on the offense who also plays defense as well.
Now these are players from just this year's team, but Collins Hill has produced athletes like Travis Hunter, 4-star tight end Ethan Davis, 4-star quarterback Sam Horn, and countless other Division I players. But what does it take to become one of these top recruits in the state of Georgia?
You got to work your butt off. You got to have somebody like a role model to look up to, and records like the Deuce Geralds, like the Travis, record, and like us in 21. We talk about our defense all the time, and that year we only gave up 5.6 points in 15 games. So offensively, we scored 35 points. So there's always those stats and those goals to reach. But if you have guys to look up to that are now in the league or breaking stats, breaking career stats, and then going on to the next level, and then really the NFL, it gives you a path. And if somebody wants to be a football coach, I'm also somebody that's an example of you can do whatever you want to here at Collins Hill. If you just work your butt off and prepare and do everything that you're supposed to, it will happen. The bell is rung by the seniors, so they'll ring that bell. It's also our PR bell in the weight room. This is something that Coach Reed started as well, and we just kept carrying it on. And you got a guy that walks by, he'll ring it, but every Friday only the seniors ring that bell. Brett Heineke was Taylor Heineke's dad, and this is very symbolic to him. And Brett Heineke was a very special man that did our field, and they were able to put this right here, and it's a rock that everybody touches. Just remember that.
Would you say Clemson's entrance is the best comparison for Collins Hill?
I would say our hill is very similar to Clemson. They got the flat ground where we got some holes in the ground. So you always, as a head coach, are worrying about that because the guys get amped up and they'll run down. Plus you got the smoke and the sparks coming out. The vision kind of gets impaired down there, and then you got to go through the sand pit, through the banner. So there's a lot of things that you got to avoid. But yeah, it's very similar to Clemson, but it gets everybody in the stands in the community that come out and see it, and people who have never been here before, first time they see it, it really hits them.
This tradition and talent are part of what makes Collins Hill so unique and one of the toughest states for high school football. Georgia produces more NFL players per capita than any other state and ranks 4th overall in total active NFL players. With this level of impact, I needed to know what makes Georgia football so dominant versus other states.
I think you just got a great mix of great talent, obviously from top to bottom. You got great coaches all over. You got Georgia football, Georgia Tech right in their backyard, plus Mercer and small schools like the Shorters and so on. But those schools, there's a lot of opportunities in Georgia for kids to go play at the next level. And I think with the mixture of the coaching, from rec league all the way up to the high school, and then even in the college, it gives some kids something to work for and really prepare, but be ready when they come to high school football. But you have kids from out of state move in. They want to be a part of Gwinnett football or Georgia football, wherever that is. It used to just be Gwinnett was really talented. Now it's talent everywhere.
So we saw what happens on the field, which means it's time to go inside their facilities. But along the way, we stumbled across another piece unique to Collins Hill. Could you explain the history, the idea behind this right here?
But it shows state championship is 33, where the state championship is played, and it used to be the old Georgia Turner Field, but now it is Georgia State's. You got Collins Hill, obviously here with no marker because you're here. And it shows the distance of each school. You got a high school every 5 minutes, whichever way you drive. Just kind of a really cool piece that Pete Snyder, with his 2 sons coming through and pouring into our kids and our program and our coaches every single chance he can. This was done in 22. All the trophies that we had success from 2020 to 22, and got the second place trophy down there where we lost to Grayson in 2020, and it was a team that nobody had going to the state championship, and they believed, and we went, and we're really good that year. We've added the Tennessee. So when I took over, the kids wanted to start going to Tennessee 7-on-7, and it's one of the best 7-on-7s that we go to every year. You know, out of 3 years, we won it twice and did everything, left it all on the field to get that dub. So,
Yeah.
stuff signed by Ethan Davis, Travis Hunter. You know, you got Deuce's newspaper article when he was in the Super Six. All that stuff is really important to me. And you know, you got all of our NFL guys. We're getting shadow boxes done for them. You got our Eagle. You got the D-Boys. You know, the chain for the turnover chain.
Right.
State championship trophy.
It was cool to learn about the school's history, but seeing Travis Hunter's actual jerseys was definitely a highlight.
You got the white one. He's got 2 white, 2 green because he was so twitchy. People would rip his jersey. But these are actually his legit jerseys. And when he comes back, we'll have him sign them and do something real cool for him. But man, he wasn't very big, I'll tell you that. He was a shrink bean when he got here. Really had to buy into the weight room. And he did, but he did more than anybody else.
So how often do you guys watch film as a team?
Every day. In fourth period, we get a block of third and fourth period, which is an hour of third period and then 40 minutes of equal time. But Wednesdays is for leadership.
What are all the posters for?
Yeah, so these are our seniors. And, you know, we got a lot this year. Guys that have been with us for 4 years, and even some new guys that came in and transitioned with us in the past 2 years, or even, you know, this year.
Next, it was time to learn how the team trains off the field.
But yeah, this is where we work out. We didn't used to have this turf. You know, now we got the turf on the inside for the speed and agility stuff. So you got really 4 stations. You got the back rack, you got the front rack, platform, and then turf. So when Coach Beck, our strength coach, is doing their weights, everybody has a station, and it could be DBs, and we kind of pair people up. You know, it's something that we take very seriously, and you still got some of the best players up here as well. We got some new equipment that we got to put together, and we just keep building up as well. And this will be another project to where we can, you know, make it better in a sense as we move forward. We painted this my first year. This used to be like the white walls outside, and we were able to get it painted. And there was actually somebody on our team, you know, whose parents owned a business and did it for us. You know, a work in progress, and we got more lockers because we got so many kids this year, and you know, we gained 30 kids in a sense after having that success last year. And you know, I want to keep growing like that. And you know, it's little by little, we're just making it better and making it more appealing to these kids because they earned it. They worked their butt off, and we definitely got to get this updated. So these are all some of the old players and a bunch of guys, obviously, that have, you know, gone on, and we'll add it here. So we got a whole nother system for recruiting that we've, you know, put together, and hopefully get that up.
With all these collegiate athletes, I had to know what college coaches actually care about when they're recruiting players.
You know, the first question they ask is, what's his GPA? Second question they ask is, do they run track? You know, yeah, so they want track speed, and you know, the transfer portal so made recruiting so different. If you're not one of the top dudes, it's really, really tough. And on track speed, and they want legit times, because you know, they come in here and say, Coach Swick said he ran a 4.4, you know, with his cell phone or stopwatch, whatever. But if it's a track time, it's an official time. Shows that they're constantly running and really speedy guys. You know, you got to have a high GPA, because if you can't get it done in high school, then you know, they're not going to waste that money on you, you know, going forward. And they can go to the portal and get a kid that's been there, done that, and shown that he can do it in college versus not making the grades in high school. So we've had to amp up our education. Got all these teachers and admin that really support our kids and, you know, really push them to do the best they can.
How many college coaches do you think come to Collins Hill in a season?
Past 2 years, well, you had Deuce Gerald, you had Atticus Joseph, you had Trell Webb, you've had a lot of other kids, you know, in the previous years. Going into spring, so January, once it kind of popped off and they had their first, you know, recruiting cycle signage. You know, going into that spring, we had 80 coaches 2 years ago, and then it was about 60 to 69 this past year. And hopefully it stays the same, you know, but those guys will be gone. So we just got to keep building up your young guys and, you know, make sure they're going to these camps and getting those top players. This is our training room. Dr. Traub and Northside Hospital has really done a great job of funding this and giving us 2 of the best athletic trainers out there, and including, you know, Dom, who comes over as well. Ever since the program started, people like that, and these are people that poured into our kids and, you know, giving us nice things that not every school has. The STEM unit over there, you know, the Game Ready. We got multiple of the compression sleeves and, you know, the ice bath, the hot bath. We've had guys donate stuff. The Sam Horn, who's at Missouri. You know, we got guys that are doing NIL. Travis is the same, but you know, they pour back in this program, and we're very, very thankful for that.
From rich traditions to elite players, it's easy to see what sets Collins Hill apart. Guys like Travis Hunter have left a legacy here, and he's not the only one. But what really separates Collins Hill isn't just the talent, it's the mentality.
You lose, you go home from here on out, and that's got to be the mentality. And you know, we want to win everything we do, and that's why we, you know, talk about going 1-0, but win each day and attack each day, you know, like it's the most important, which it is.
And from those closing words from Coach Swick, we will see you in the next video.